Mitsubishi has been flying under the radar for quite some time now. Sure, they've brought out special editions of the Pajero Sport and even brought back the Montero. But there's not been anything all new from the brand in a long time. But coming soon is this, the new Outlander. Question is, how good is it? And also, is this a model that will appeal to the growing lot of petrol SUV buyers in India? Let's find out. Before you squint your eyes and ask, is that really the new Outlander? You should know that this generation of the model was launched in 2012 but got a substantial update in 2015. And that's the one we get here. The shape isn't radical and doesn't have the swoopy lines of the latest lot of SUVs and crossovers, but some might actually like it for that reason. The Outlander is smart in look, but butch and imposing it is not. What actually takes away from the look are the 16-inch rims that are just a size or two too small. Still, the Outlander has its nice bits. The front grille, bumper and headlight arrangement that Mitsubishi calls dynamic shield is quite striking. It's a lot more conventional at the sides and rear, and the bulging wheel arches and kinked D-pillar you could identify the last Outlander sold in India with are not to be seen here either. In terms of size, the Outlander is actually longer than the upcoming new Honda CR-V. That's that for the exteriors, but how is the Mitsubishi on the inside? Let's start with row 1. You sit at a reasonably good height in the Outlander and correspondingly also get a reasonably good view of the road ahead. Drivers will also like the fact that their seats get multi-electric adjust, so it's fairly easy to find a comfortable driving position. But as for the view inside the cabin, I'm sorry, the news isn't all that good. And it's all down to this outdated looking cabin. It just doesn't look or feel like something you'd expect in an SUV in 2018. What also drags things down a bit in the cabin is the all black theme, and the plastics aren't quite the best, and there are also a lot of these dummy switches which can be a bit irritating to look at, to be honest. And then there's the 6.1-inch touchscreen that is small, looks aftermarket and misses out on essentials like satellite navigation, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But like the last gen Outlander, this one too gets a 6.1-channel Rockford sound system with a subwoofer in the boot. Other features include a sunroof, auto headlamps and wipers, dual zone climate control, a powered driver's seat and heated front seats. As for safety, the Outlander gets 7 airbags, traction control, stability control and hill start assist. LED headlights are not part of the package, but the bigger disappointment is that there are no aircon vents for the rear seat passengers. The middle row is a bit of a mixed bag itself. The middle row seat itself is quite comfortable. It's pretty well padded, and you do also have the option to adjust the backrest to your liking. What's also nice is the center armrest that's positioned quite well, but it's not quite perfect in here. There's no rear aircon vents, and if you notice, headroom is also a bit limited for taller passengers. There is more legroom than this. All you need to do is slide your seat back and just rest back. The Outlander gets a third row of seats, but like most other SUVs, think of it as a 5+2 arrangement rather than a proper 7-seat one. So you can't make the most elegant of entries into the last row of the Outlander. You need to be a bit flexible, which unfortunately I'm not. There we go. So my knees are nearly at chest height, so this is not the ideal seating position and very tight on headroom, not a place for adults. And note, this is with the middle row pushed all the way up front. There's no way a passenger can sit in the middle row at this setting. The Outlander experience gets vastly better as we get moving. Mitsubishi ladder frame SUVs are known to be hardy and tough, and the monocoque bodied Outlander too feels like one of the tribe in the rough. There's no 4-wheel drive with low range like you get on the Pajero Sport, but there is all-wheel drive and you have the option to lock it for maximum traction. It tackles the rutted parts I'm on with ease, and I have a feeling it'll be quite capable in the monsoon muck too. The Outlander is really good on our famed broken roads as well. Remember those 16-inch rims that we spoke of earlier? Well, their thick sidewall tires really come into play on bad and broken surfaces. The tires just take that first hit so well, and the Outlander just feels so solid on broken patches of road. It almost drives like a ladder frame chassis SUV. Yes, it feels that indestructible. On smoother surfaces and at higher speeds, the ride is largely flat without the setup feeling harsh on the odd bump. And it's nice to drive in the corners too. Mitsubishi has a habit of getting its steerings right, and the Outlanders is in the good pages of that book. Yes, it is an electronic power steering, but it feels weighty and meaty just like an old school hydraulic unit would. You get a great feeling of control, and you know what? The Outlander also drives with the agility of something much smaller. There is some body roll, but it's so subdued that you can maintain a good clip on a twisty road without your passengers having a bout of motion sickness. Just as effective is the Outlander's engine. Diesel lovers, I'm sorry, there's some bad news here. The Outlander will only be offered with a petrol engine. The engine in question is a 2.4 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder unit. It uses variable valve tech but makes a middle-of-the-road 167 horsepower and 222 Nm. The engine comes mated to a 6-step CVT. The Outlander engine's power output may not be a shining figure, but this is still a very likable engine. The build of power is progressive and it feels torquey, which is just what you'd want from your SUV. Okay, you might miss the added thrust of a turbo in the mid-range, but there's enough good old-fashioned grunt. Overtakings are never a problem, but when you do get the engine excited, the weak link of the package also comes shining through, and that is the CVT gearbox. Above 3,500 RPM or so, you get that rubber band effect, and there's an artificial connect between road speed and engine speed. You can get by via manual shifts at the column-mounted paddle shifters, but still, it's not quite the best of experiences. In the final analysis, here's what the Outlander is like. On the face of things, the Outlander is not an SUV that will make you run towards a Mitsubishi showroom near you, provided that there is one near you to begin with. Sure, it is smart in an understated sort of way, but it doesn't have that macho appeal typical SUV buyers are looking for. The interior is also not particularly lavish, and the equipment levels are so-so. As for the driving experience, the CVT gearbox takes a bit away from it, but the petrol engine is more than pleasant. There's also more of Mitsubishi's DNA in the ride and handling department, and this really is one of those SUVs that grows on you the more time you spend with it. So if you're open to the idea of spending about 30 lakh rupees on a petrol SUV, don't forget to give this one a look.
A Lamborghini SUV? A four-door Lamborghini? Yes, that's what the Urus is. Now for a maker of super sports cars, this really is something different. This is a new chapter for the Italian brand. Well, they've made SUVs before. There was the iconic LM002, but the Urus is going to take things to a different level. But what Lamborghini says that though it's an SUV, though it sits pretty high, though it is quite heavy, it still has the Lamborghini DNA. Well, that's what we are here on this bright sunny day in Italy to find out. Just how well it handles, just how well it goes, and just how well it sounds. But before driving, let's see how it looks. Now Now it doesn't have the visual drama of the Huracan or Aventador, but being 5 meters long, 2 meters wide and sitting on those massive 23-inch rims, this is not a car you can miss. There are lots of Lambo touches like the sharp creases, angular lines and Y-shaped DRLs. The sloping roof looks really sporty and adds to the design's aggression. But has it compromised space at the rear? Now, I never thought I'd be checking out the back seat of a Lamborghini. But the Urus, it's amazingly spacious. You don't expect a super sports SUV to worry about space at the back, but the Urus, well, it's made it a bit of a family super sports SUV. I don't know what it'll be like over here being thrown back and forward at really high speeds. But what I can say is that the space at the back, it's even good for 6-footers. So space is a small box that can be ticked. Not a very important box, I hope, for people buying this car. But in India, you never know. Even cars like this tend to be chauffeur driven. On the narrow country roads outside the Vallelunga circuit, I can tell you this. The scenery becomes one fast blur and acceleration is simply savage. What's amazing is that the faster you go, the less intimidating it becomes and shrinks in size. This big SUV seems to morph into a small hatchback. It's agile, responsive and eager to change direction, and the sudden tidal wave of power just takes your breath away. Is it as good on the track as it is on the road? A few hot laps will give us the answers. We're at the Vallelunga circuit and I'm about to hit the track. Now that's not a natural habitat for an SUV, especially a 2.2-ton SUV. But quite frankly, this isn't just another SUV, it's a Lamborghini. And what I'm going to find out if it has the DNA of its siblings, the Huracan and Aventador. Well, a racetrack isn't a place to really test an SUV, but this isn't an ordinary SUV. This is the Urus, which has got Lamborghini's sports car DNA. And I have to tell you, I was a bit skeptical, but my God, the way this thing turns into corners, it's just unbelievable. In fact, it's physics defying. Different drive modes alter the character of the Urus to suit the environment, and here on the track I'm in the full-blown Corsa mode. Corsa mode lowers the car, sharpens the throttle response and stiffens the ride. The turn-in is just fantastic into corners. Oh my God. And I have to tell you that engine note, okay, it's not as high-pitched as its siblings, the Aventador or the Huracan, which have naturally aspirated big cylinder engines. But this V8 turbo, it sounds pretty good. Hear that? Listen to that noise. Ooh. Yes. Gonna floor it now. It's so well balanced. And it's really through these tighter bends and powering out of them that all that torque just rockets you forward. Yeah, that's another right-hander. Power, 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 my God. Oh my God, it's just got so much lateral grip. And as you can see, I'm just constantly headbutting the red line in Corsa mode. It doesn't shift up automatically like in Sport, and there's so much torque, this thing just flies to the red line, and the red line is very conservative, only about 6,800 RPM. I just wish I had another 1,000 RPM more. After the track, it was time to take the Urus off-road. I never would have imagined I'd be testing a Lamborghini on a dirt road. But this is a test of the Urus's SUV credentials. Well, this wasn't so much of an off-road course as it was a rallycross circuit. Now, I don't expect the Urus to do serious rock climbing, but it's great for a blast down a gravel path to your holiday home. To make an SUV dance like something half its size and weight is a physics-defying achievement, and no other SUV feels as sporty or quick. At the same time, it's practical and spacious and can do the office commute quite happily too. A raging bull that's also a tame bull, who would have thought that? But it's this duality of character that makes the Urus the only SUV of its kind. No wonder the first year order book is completely sold out.
I'm all geared up now, waiting for my shot at the track. But no, I won't be racing today. What I'll be driving is that. Since this is an eco-marathon, I'll be competing for fuel economy. My drive is a single-seater car that weighs around 70 kilos, almost as much as I do. The challenge is to drive 6 laps of the track, consuming the least amount of fuel. The technical team gave me a few pointers. I was supposed to build momentum and then kill the engine and coast as far as possible on the track. Okay, challenge accepted. Sitting in this cramped up position with my legs touching the front tip of the car and my head just about touching the roof is far from comfortable, almost inappropriate. I'm left with zero wiggle room inside.
So I'm doing a mileage run right now. I don't think you can hear me. It's too loud over here.
The 163cc single-cylinder engine was from a lawnmower and made quite a racket. And obviously, it wasn't quick. The max speed I might be doing would be around 20 kph, but I couldn't tell as there was no speedo inside. Making things worse was the scorching afternoon sun and my race suit, which made me sweat profusely. I drove 6 laps of the track in the most efficient way I could, and at the end of it, I came to the pits, relieved that my run was over and I was free from the claustrophobia. How did I fare? What efficiency did I manage? Well, 58 kilometers to a single liter. That's my personal best ever. However, it was far from the overall best, which was around 205 kilometers to a single liter of fuel. Shell gave me this drive opportunity to experience what these students would be going through over a longer distance and longer duration while competing in this eco-marathon. The most fuel-efficient car in India returns 28.4 kilometers to the liter. At this very platform, last year, the most efficient car built by students returned 2,289 kilometers to a single liter of fuel. Yes, that's right, 2,289 kilometers to a single liter of fuel. Now, whichever way you look at it, it's a really impressive figure. This is the 2018 Asia Pacific edition of the Shell Eco Marathon, with over 120 teams participating from 18 countries, with 9 teams from India. Just look at the energy in the atmosphere. It's a moment of national pride, and all the students are proudly holding up the flag of their respective countries as they stood beside their cars in which they've invested months of their blood, sweat and tears. All for this one day when it all counts. And then there was the flag off. The marathon begins. There's no rubber screeching or engine roaring sound on the track. The drivers aren't racing against each other. They're very focused with a clear aim to build momentum, switch off the engine and coast as far as possible to maximize efficiency. So what were the results then? Well, the most efficient car running on ethanol was built by a team from Thailand that did a jaw-dropping 2,341.1 kilometers to a single liter. The DTU team from India won an award for their communication strategy. What's the next step for students from here?
I think we take great pride in the fact that all the ideas, the intellectual property created in Shell Eco Marathon is the property of the students and the universities. So it is not up to us to take automotive ideas, automotive innovation into practice. We very much encourage our students here to file patents and to pursue these ideas and take them into their professional careers or even into their entrepreneurships, however they may have arrived at these ideas.
And that's just what some of the teams are doing.
We have already collaborated with Maruti. They are ready to help us to further refurbish the technology which we have been developing so far.
We are now at this stage of planning how to implement the technologies that we have used in building this car in the actual industry. So we are now shifting our viewpoint to the industrial perspective.
At the end of the day, it was all about optimum use of energy, and with electrification, emissions, and efficiency being the key buzzwords in the industry, an event like this is a great preview of the technologies and innovations that we can expect in the cars we drive in the near future.